I had a very cheesy catchphrase that I often use here on this channel that I had planned to use for this very video. However, I do believe that this is a very serious topic. Why? Because the very important fun people, the carnival people, the carnies are not happy. In fact, they are talking about jumping ship and changing their loyalty over to another line because Carnival decided that they are going to change their loyalty program. And I gotta be honest, after what I have seen over the past 24 to 48 hours, well, I am praying for the president of Carnival Cruise Line, Christine Duffy, as well as the star of the show, the ambassador, Mr. John Heald, because, well, they have a lot that they're going to deal with. Sorry, let me correct myself in advance, John Held. Anywho, we are going to go over the gist of this situation. I will tell you guys straight up, I'm not a very smart man. I am not going to go over all the intricacies and details and little giblets of everything that's going on. Just the overall viewpoint and what a lot of people believe is happening in terms of Carnival now turning their, well, relationship they thought they had with their loyalists, their marriage and white picket fence and chocolate lab type of relationship has now gone toxic. To the shadow realm it goes because, well, people just simply aren't happy that things have now gone transactional. It is right in a sense of business. However, when it comes to the overall arching relationship between Carnival and its passengers, people simply aren't happy. So we're going to go over the details and, well, everything that is revolving around this particular topic. So in a nutshell, these changes have been sort of expected coming down the pipeline with Carnival Cruise Line for some time. Why? Because the system that Carnival has been using for its loyalty program, the very important Fun Person program, has been around for a whopping 13 years without any change, over a decade with no changes. So when it did come out, a lot of people weren't shocked, but they were shocked on the details. For starters, they have a system where usually a first-time cruiser will get a blue status where they would then work their way up to red and gold and diamond and all that. However, they're going to get rid of that first blue label. You're going to go straight over to red. And the bigger thing is, yes, there are some perks taken away. However, I'm not going to go over all of the details of that. I will put it right up here so you guys can see what exactly your status is going to entail. But primarily, the issue and something a lot of people tend to have a problem with at the moment is that it's no longer going to be about how many times you've gone on a cruise with Carnival. It's how much monies you are spending. And if you're in the top tier status, let's say you're diamond, well, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be paying anywhere between, well, not even between, $33,000 essentially every 2 years up until the next 6-year period. So you do no longer have this lifetime status. You're essentially going to be paying out of pocket for that status to be upheld moving forward. Well, starting next year around June 1st, 2026. Now, given to be clear, everything is still somewhat on a point system, and it's always kind of been transactional based. I think we all get that. In order to even get your points and, let's say, the number of nights you are on a cruise, you naturally do have to pay for them. However, the threshold in order to maintain that highest status, the diamond status, is going to be, well, a lot more difficult. And there could be the argument that, yes, if you guys have ever been to a diamond status event on a Carnival cruise, I certainly have many a time. I've been able to sneak my way in there. You will notice that half the ship is in there. So should it be a little bit more difficult? Yes, I do believe there is some merit in argument for that to take place. However, you have people that have been sailing with Carnival for a long time. They've been extremely dedicated and exclusively sailing with Carnival Cruise Line. They finally get their top tier diamond status, and well, now they feel like it's just an arm's reach away. Either that or they got to work extra hard to maintain that status. And a lot of people are arguing whether that is right or wrong since they've been loyal to Carnival for so many years. Now, aside from the congestion with so many people being a part of Carnival's top tier status in their loyalty program, I have seen from Cruise Critic and other sources that Carnival is looking at this change as like something that happens that the airlines do annually. However, what must be pointed out is the difference between an airline and a cruise line. When it comes to an airline, most of the time, people that are flying, let's say your first class and your business class, usually are only doing so for business, and they are doing so on the company's dime. In this particular case, when you come on a vacation, usually you are choosing to sail on that specific vacation with that specific cruise line, and well, now they do have a lot of other leisure choices that can potentially be better than Carnival at this point in time, seeing there is so much competition. Like, for example, right now, you do have cruise lines that do loyalty match. For example, the Mafia Shipping Company, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, let's be honest here. MSC, they do have a great loyalty match program at the moment. I do see a lot of people in the future shifting over to them, which I do believe they are doing a lot better over the coming years and will continue to do so in the next 5 years or so. I think they'll at least be a strong number two, with number one maybe being Royal Caribbean. You also got Virgin Voyages. If you guys are down for the adult thing, which I do love Virgin, you guys know it's a nice party, they also do loyalty matches. So now you have all these other cruise lines that will continue to come out of the woodwork. Who knows? I do believe Margaritaville, which is the experience overall on the Islander, is somewhat ish like a Carnival. They might come in and throw their wrench or anchor into the race. And just like that, Carnival will start losing more loyalists as time goes on because of, well, let's say when it comes to this change, maybe it was done right, but the timing was off, or vice versa. Again, just to make all this crystal clear, for those that do not understand, the relationship between a cruise line and the passengers has been and will always be, of course, transactional. But I do believe that it's been done in a sneaky way over the years, especially in this case with Carnival Cruise Line, whereas it's kind of like originally it was, we are a family, and since you are deciding to continue to sail with us and choosing us for as your primary vacation option, we are going to reward you with these perks and bonuses, to now they're essentially saying, how much money are you willing to give us? How badly do you want that top tier loyalty status? And obviously, that's going to put a bad taste in anyone's mouth. And this is a situation that we are currently dealing with at the moment, considering the fact that they do have to now pay a lot more for those that have already been in the top tier loyalty status. And it feels like they're kind of just being rug pulled. Even though they've already had the status, they now have to work harder to maintain the status, or otherwise it's going to get taken away. Surprisingly, many also believe that this is all part of some diabolical plan to, well, weed out the riffraff. You know, Carnival has been little by little, slowly, and I do mean very slowly, like turtle slow, trying to, well, stop all of the disorderly contact on board the ship, conduct, I mean, on the ship rather, on board their cruise ships. And, well, it's been working here and there with the dogs essentially living on board and the curfews and all this other stuff, fines and potential arrests. But if you get, let's say, potentially more people that are willing to shell out more money, I guess there is some merit to say that the more money people pay, the less issues you potentially may have on board cruise ships. But I do believe, like I said, when it comes to Carnival, I think that it's not exactly the right time to roll this out. There are, in my personal opinion, other things that should be surveyed and looked at. For example, when you got Carnival coming out with these mega ships, you got to believe that there's going to be some people on there that are going to be potentially rambunctious, and maybe establish a formula first as far as how the overall environment is going to be before you start digging into people's pockets, in my personal opinion. But when it comes to the top tier, you're going to have to pay top dollar. There's also the argument for both sides of the equation. So there's only so much that can be said overall on that. It just depends on the actual person and what it is they're truly worried about. In conclusion, I would say that most of this, in my personal opinion, is pretty nitpicky overall. In any, let's say, loyalty program with any line, it is extremely difficult to reach the top tier status in any spectrum or any idea of the situation, because, well, it's the top of the top. In order to get to the top, you want it to be difficult. You want it to be challenging. And even more, I'd say important, you want there to not be everybody up there at the top with you, because if everybody is special, well, nobody is. And just like that, you have a situation where a lot of people feel like they're not getting much out of the hard work and dedication and money that they have put in into all of those sailings. Your ability to board the ship 10 minutes early, your pin that you're getting, your extra laundry that you may be getting, well, yes, that stuff is of course nice, but something I would always say, because I'm not somebody that runs around on cruise lines just trying to get my loyalty points up. Personally, I don't care. If I did, I would go to the casino, because I do believe the casino people are taken care of much better than the people that are in any loyalty program for that matter. So maybe look into that. But overall, I do believe that people are going to naturally be divided on this 50-50. Again, I do feel bad for Christine Duffy and John Hill. People are saying this could be reversed in 24 hours. I doubt it. They're probably firm on this decision, but we will see how things go moving forward. But this is what I have for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.